Hello, I'm Eve, and welcome to my exercise for object creation. I made an invoice form for the user to fill out the seller information, the customer information, and the product information, and then to click the button for it to display an invoice for them. So I already filled out the form. I made the seller McDonald's, I am the customer, and I'm buying one thing of french fries for $10, but I have a 25% discount. So I'm going to click Add Invoice, and then we can see Invoice Added. So an invoice came up for McDonald's. It's billed to me, and I had French fries, a quantity of one, $10, but I had a 25% discount, so the total came out to $7.50. And you can see the grand total down here, and McDonald's address, and then an invoice number with the date. So I filled out the form again. I made McDonald's the seller again. I am the customer again, but this time I want a burger, and it's $20. And I have no discount for this. So I'm going to click Add Invoice, and we got invoice added. And then we can scroll down, and you can see the other invoice, and it's got a burger. So next we're going to go through my code base covering the key topics of classes, event handling, arrow functions, and form validation with the select all query. So first we have the invoice class, which passes in the arguments seller, customer, and product to the constructor function, and then it calculates all of the price calculations for the invoice. So next we have the main class, which first sets the initial invoice number, and then it has an add event listener arrow function that calls the add method. The add method runs on the click of the add button. It validates the form and it creates a new invoice in the list in the invoice container. So next we have form validation with the query selector all for each arrow function that reports validity and makes sure that all the form fields are valid. So next we create seller, customer, and product objects that derive their value from the input fields. Next, we create a new instance of the custom invoice class that has the passed-in arguments seller, customer, and product. And then we display all of the information from the values in the objects using template literals. And then after that, we increase the invoice number, we add the alert, invoice added, and we do a query selector for the form to reset it. And then last, we call the main class in an IFI function. Then we have my CSS, which styles all of the form fields into a neat grid and then displays the invoice in the proper display format. Then in my HTML, we have all the grids of the forms for seller information, customer information, and product information. And then we have the invoice container to display the template literals. And with that, we're done with the object creation exercise. Thank you for watching. Bye.